Are you having the glare problem?
I mean, I can see.
Come over here. You see that?
Well, I see the glare, but you like my hair?
Is this thing on? This is gonna be my weekly question. Is this thing on? Do I like your hair? Is this
a trick question?
Is this your sick hair?
I am sick.
Yes, Laura Morgan's under the weather, guys. But like a trooper, she's fighting on to answer your questions and
fighting on. If you scoot forward, then you don't see the glare. If I put my giant shoulder in the
way. Okay, so can we see okay? We're gonna be all right because I got this glare.
Great.
I can't watch myself, which is really.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
you look awesome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hey everybody, it's Sean from The Good Dog, and this is The Good Dog's Q. Hey everybody, it's Sean with The Good Dog, and I've got the very sickly, but still lovely, Laura Morgan. And we're coming to you live from North Hollywood, ready to rock and roll with some questions for you guys. We've got top 10 from Facebook and Instagram.
We've got question number 1. This comes from Joanne Treadway.
Hey Joanne.
Hey Joanne. Hey Sean and Laura, I had to laugh at your description a couple weeks ago of Manny being a bowling ball with rockets attached and how you had issues of him bombing down the stairs.
Description.
It's a perfect description. Yeah. I've been working on household thresholds with the 2 tumbleweeds. Remember her dogs, tumbleweeds? Yeah. And they seem to have some of the magnificent Manolo maneuvers. Once I calmly say okay to give them permission to pass through an indoor threshold, or especially going to and from backyard party breaks, they also tend to blast off.
Yeah.
Is the answer to just keep them working on a leash with prong and inside and slowly guide them across the thresholds? What worked best with Mr. Manny? I do have a 2-dog version mini educator if that's useful. Thank you. You two are an incredible resource.
Oh, wow.
Joanne.
Thanks, Joanne. That's cool. Yeah. Manny. He is like a bowling ball.
Especially with Hercules by his side.
Yeah, they're like partners in crime with that stuff.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Let's turn.
Okay, so let's just jump right into this question. So basically, she's got her dogs are what, kind of rocketing when they're released?
Rocketing in and out of the house.
Yeah,
Okay,
so to be honest, for like outside stuff, if I'm releasing dogs to go outside and go potty and run around and be actually free and released, I'm okay with them kind of going nuts and running fast and doing all that stuff. So for the exterior stuff, going out, go bananas. If I've released you, I don't need to police them that much. They hopefully inside they've been having a lot of good structure and rules, behaving themselves. And so once we get them outside, let them have some, blow off some steam and be nutty and do all that. But coming inside is a very different thing. So if I release Manny and Herc and the rest of the guys, they're allowed to go bounding out the door. That's fine as long as they're waiting on me. But to come back in, that's a different story. So when we were working on the hump of getting over the hump with Man, what I did was I just did e-collar work with him. And he's already familiar with the e-collar, so I just kind of reinforced it. What I would do is, like, his big trigger is coming. So we have a bedroom down here, down 4 or 5 stairs, and then that's kind of the portal to up here in the living room where all the excitement lies. And so typically Herc and Manny would come flying up those stairs like rockets. And if I'm working with dogs out here, client dogs, I can't have rockets flying around, canine rockets flying around, right? It doesn't work to create the right atmosphere. So what I would do is I'd bring them both, you can't see, I'd bring them both one at a time to the bottom of the stairs, and then e-collar in hand, and then I would use, I think I used heel with both of them, e-collar heel, and then just did over and over again up the stairs, nice and slow. Anybody moves too fast, correct. If I need to recall them back, I recall them back, and I start over. Better to just get this out of the way and go through it a few times and take 15-20 minutes if you have to where you don't have to fight this battle every day. And so recall them back if I need to, then slowly walk up the stairs. Anytime anybody was looking like they might be tuned out, I would stop, sit, just get them to slow down. They'd be like, ugh. And then I would heel, walk a few more steps, and then send them to place, which is right at the end of those steps. So they didn't have to go too far, but that was their thing. They would fly up the stairs, scramble, and then jump onto the place command, which looks cute and everything, except it's not. And so e-collar was the way that I went about it, and it works really nicely now. And so even without the e-collar in my hand, or if I don't have the e-collar on Manny now, I just walk over and I ask him to come, just heel and come up. So I'm just reinforcing it over and over again because he's practiced it a lot the wrong way, which is my fault for not being on top of it straight out of the gate. So that's what I'd recommend for you. I think she said her dogs are e-collar trained.
Yeah, they have it, yeah.
So you're kind of good to go. So you can do the e-collar heel, or you could do recall, right? So, because even though recall, like, is technically calling a dog from one place to another, you can use recall as a follow command too. So you can have a dog that's standing next to you and you can say, come, and start moving. And the dog really, some people might disagree with me and say, hey, that's not a recall command, but we use it like that all the time. We use it to have dogs follow, and you can keep dogs in a tight little bubble with you as small as you want to. And so if you don't have an e-collar heel trained, then just use recall. And if the dog starts to move past you, stop, recall him back, take a step back, and then start again, and then move away, recall him back. And you can use that recall really to create however small this bubble that you want your dog to be away from you or close to you, just by repeating the command and correcting if you need to for them being nutty. I'd start with one dog at a time so you're not overwhelmed, and then build it up to the two. So either e-collar heel or e-collar recall. Keep them, real nice and respectful next to you, and then have a place to send them to when you get up, not up your stairs, but when you get up from wherever your spot is, bringing the dogs in and, put them in place or something like that, and then go from there. So that's it. Yay. Good luck with those tumbleweeds. I'm fighting Manny every day.
All right.
Okay.
Question number 2. This comes from Dorsey Rowe. This is a question for your Saturday Q&A.
Yes.
Awesome.
Hi, Dorsey.
We recently got a dog named Holly out of the shelter. She was terrified to bite her. She wouldn't walk on leash either. Her foster had been working with her slowly to build her trust. Holly's come a long way, but one problem is we'd like to help her with is barking. Holly's fine with other dogs, but when another person comes over to the foster's house, she will bark the entire time. The only thing that stops her barking is when the person leaves. Holly's foster would like to try out a bark collar. What type of bark collar would you recommend? She's around 12 pounds, a min pin next with a dachshund. Where should we buy the collar? Also, can you recommend a good collar that's under 60? Thanks. Or she said, good e-collar that's under 60. I don't know if that's a separate question.
I think so, but that's a tough one right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so boy, that dog's a handful. That dog got lucky he got broke out of the shelter with all those behaviors going on. So, first thing, I would do a little foundation work. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend the bark collar for this. I would recommend an e-collar rather than the bark collar. So bark collars are never going to be as sensitive and as accurate as a remote. So there's lots of times with the bark collar, even with good ones, don't go to Petco, don't go to PetSmart or any of those. Yeah. But even with the good ones, the dog trodes, the e-collar technologies, or the sport dogs, they're not always going to trigger. And also dogs can get into this cycle, they get corrected, and then they trigger the bark collar again, and they can escalate and can freak them out. So I much prefer to do that manually with the remote. It'll cost you probably a few extra bucks, but it's well worth it because you can use it. Like this dog is a dog that sounds like it really needs e-collar work. Mm-hmm. So is there like a little beam of light? Yeah. It's so angelic coming through. No, it's nice. No, it's pretty. So here's what I have for you guys. I would train e-collar heel, and I know it's a foster situation, so I don't know how much latitude you have with asking them to do stuff, but if you can, e-collar place, and I've got a video for it on the website, www.thegooddog.net. Go to do-it-yourself free videos, and e-collar place at least, and you can use that to condition the dog. And once the dog's conditioned to either recall or place something like that, then you can use it to actually correct for the barking stuff and address all that nuttiness that's going on. But it'd be so much more helpful, like I was saying initially, foundation-wise, getting that place command together will help your dog feel so much more comfortable, so much less stressed, and you may even see a tremendous change in that barkiness even without correcting it, just by giving that foundation that your dog needs. So that's the first thing I would do is I would get an e-collar, train at e-collar place, and then really reinforce that, get it really strong to where the dog is, you can move around, do distractions, make noises, dance around, go bananas, and the dog doesn't move. And then start introducing people into the house, and then start correcting for any barky stuff. If the dog breaks from place, you got to put the dog back. Be really cool if you taught the dog e-collar recall as well, because then if you have those two behaviors, you can recall him back to place. Otherwise, you're a little bit limited with what you can do. I have a video on that as well, or a couple on the website. It's really easy to follow, very simple kind of videos for how to put that stuff together. But you do a recall and you do place, and then the dog is fully e-collar conditioned, and you got some pretty good commands on it. You'll see that dog develop a lot more confidence and a lot more stability emotionally just by doing those exercises. And then you also have the ability to correct if the dog gets worried or freaked out, and then help the dog break that cycle. Yeah. So that's what I'd go for. And I haven't seen a good e-collar that's $60 or under. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. For decent e-collars, you're looking at, unless you can find one on eBay, something used like that. But I would go for either, if you're trying to go reasonable, I'd go for a Dogtra IQ or an e-collar Technologies Mini Educator. They're both right in the same ballpark. I think I prefer the Mini Educator. For your money, you get more bang for your buck, and I just think they work better. So that's what I'd go for. You can get those new off Amazon, but they're going to be probably 180. Yeah, so it's a little out of your price range. But the crappy e-collars are really crappy. Yeah, and it'll make all that training really a drag and very challenging to even make happen without your dog having a hard time. So I actually don't recommend using it. So and then for the no bark collar, Dogtra has one, e-collar Technologies has one, and Sport Dog. Those are the three that I know of that are considered pretty good collars.
Yeah. So. Worst case scenario, if you can't buy an e-collar and they don't want to do training and they just want a bark collar, those would be the ones to go for.
Yeah, just watch out what I said about the cycling stuff.
Yeah.
Triggering the bark, and whatever you do, don't set the escalating correction on the no bark if you do get a no bark collar. So that's where it automatically corrects higher. The dog barks, gets corrected once, dog barks again, gets corrected higher, and now the dog starts to panic, freak out, and then you get this whole thing can get really ugly. So don't do that. All right?
All right.
Thanks.
Question 3, this is from Ryan Martin.
Hey, Ryan Martin.
Oh, we love
T3
him.
alumni, recent.
Grad. We miss him. Hey guys, long time no see. Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is...
Yes.
I guess, should we pick one of these? Or is it like a double?
Is it a double? No, he just...
I just read ahead. Okay. Hey guys, long time no see. Okay, I have 2 questions. The first one is should you correct a dog for stress panting? Mm-hmm. Like if the dog is in place and starts getting anxious or stressed and starts panting, is that something that can be addressed? I'm specifically talking about panting here, not whining. Mm. And the second question is, why does Sean like Pop-Tarts so much?
Now that is an intriguing question.
That is a good question.
Okay, so should I jump into the dog question first?
Yes.
Okay, Ryan, good question, man. And this brings up kind of like a little bit of a gray area. So typically 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to correct for panting, right? Panting is a dog processing and being anxious and having physical emanation of whatever's going on in their mind. And so I'm not correcting panting stuff. I'll let the dog process and go through that. Stuff like that. That's going to get corrected. And I know that's more along the whining kind of vocalization stuff. And I know you're not saying that, but just no. But there is a version of panting where dogs will do it, and it feels like it's almost designed to get a reaction out of us. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like, it'll get like, sorry, I sound like a chimp, but it gets excessive, and it to me, it feels like a behavior that's gotten a reaction prior, either reinforced or coddled, or, some kind of reaction from an owner at some point. And so I'll correct for that. But that's kind of like going on that thing where it goes past like panting, it gets a little bit into a different place. So Typically, I'm going to say no, but if you see something that's very that's excessive and feels like it's a bit of a manipulation thing that's designed to get a reaction out of a human, right? You know, something that a dog wouldn't do just around another dog, right? Think about it that way. Like two dogs are in crates next to each other. The other dog's not going to be like, no, hopefully not. But they will do some of that stuff around people because they found that they sometimes get reactions like that. So don't correct unless it's some kind of wacky, weird, the dog's trying to kind of push buttons like that. And otherwise, just let them process and go through it. And then question number 2. Why does Sean like Pop-Tarts so much? That's a good question, man. You guys at Q&A land aren't familiar with, we just were at T3 and we bought a 48? Which means so. It's 48, but there's 2 in each one.
I think you told them this
Did I tell them this?
time. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this, right?
You're into
this.
it.
This might be the problem. So 48, actually, what kind of math is that? It's just shy of 100.
Yeah.
Right? I think I ate all 100.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, Pop-Tarts I think they bring me back to childhood, cozy memories. One of my good friends when I was young, I wasn't allowed to have Pop-Tarts at my house, probably for good reason. But my friend Rob, his folks used to have Pop-Tarts at the Yin Yang, and I could always go over there and get the strawberry ones. And
frosted.
Yeah, and because they were kind of forbidden fruit, I think there was something built into that where I was like, always frosted. But, put them in the toaster and then just, there's so much goodness in there. And I know they're fortified with vitamins and minerals too.
So they're like health food.
There's some kind of, positive thing there as well. But I just like them. I think they're really tasty, and I just like the cut of their jib. I think they're a well-designed product, and I don't allow myself to eat them except for occasional T3s. You will not find Pop-Tarts in my home.
No.
You will find only healthy things here. So, anyways, that's my answer, Ryan. So thanks for outing me, buddy.
That was a good one, Ryan. Thank you. Okay, question 4. This is from Michael Needbala, who is actually going to be doing a phone consult with you as well.
Excellent. He's going from Germany, right?
Yeah.
Nice. International.
International O'Shea. My 1-year-old French bulldog is dog reactive on leash. I'm using a prong on my dog, and I'm following your training advice as outlined on your DVD and videos.
Nice.
We're already getting nice results on threshold, sit down, place, and even with treadmill. Thanks. We're still struggling a little bit on the walk, so here's my question.
Yes.
When there are other dogs passing our way, for example, I have my dog sitting in front of me and he's looking towards me so that he's not able to look at the target.
Man, look at that. That's the instructions.
Although nice. He is not able to look at the other dog, he still gets a little nervous in those situations and tends to not loudly bark or whimper with my...
Sorry, we just had a little notice come up.
With ears back and looking at me. Yeah. Would you address this behavior in any form or ignore? And he had a short video clip, but yeah.
That got lost in
No, I mean, it's here.
Customs.
We can find it.
No. So why don't you answer this? You know the answer. I'll let you take it.
Wow, okay. Well, I didn't plan. But basically...
Well, if you've got a Frenchie, and I'll be the Frenchie.
I'm going to correct for that. I mean, it's better...
It's more chimpanzee-like, but...
It sounds just like it.
But Frenchies make a lot of crazy noises.
Yeah, they do. That stuff is just, you got to block the state of mind, right? So we're not just looking to correct the dog, right? You know he's being good, he's looking up at you and all this, but the state of mind is anxious, nervous, unsure about that dog, and we're saying, don't worry about that dog. Just don't worry about it. Correct that. I would say e-collar is probably your best bet with this too, because the prong collar, when you give a little pop, sometimes can rev dogs up a little bit. So I would say definitely address it.
Yeah, definitely address it. So Laura kind of mentioned that, but what you want to do is you want to get rid of even the tiniest little pieces of the problem, right? Yeah. So if you let that slide, that's a tiny piece of the issue. It's a tiny piece of your puzzle, and you're allowing your dog to kind of like percolate along a little bit, and you really want to bring that all the way down. So he's just saying, I'm nervous, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm excited, I'm whatever I am, and you want to just say, just calm down and relax. But if you allow him to percolate at that little, like 3 or 4 or 2 or 3 even, there's still negative habits being practiced, and he's still kind of revving himself up. So definitely address that, and a firm little pop on the prong. And Laura mentioned e-collar, which would be great if I would try and exhaust this first.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once you've like really done all the best work, gone after all these tiny little moments repeatedly and consistently,
Yeah.
then we can talk about e-collar stuff. Maybe we'll get into this on the phone consult.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think this is one of the things owners struggle with most, and it's a great question that you bring this up and reminds me about the tiny moments are the ones that owners get kind of confused about or unsure about. Should I correct for this? Is it appropriate? Am I being fair? And so I'm glad you asked it, because it really is one of the more challenging components of trying to like really fine tune stuff. And yes, so the short answer is correct that stuff, get it done, and help your dog. You're really looking for your dog to relax and just like look at you and be chilled out. So that's what you're shooting for. Okay, talk to you soon, buddy.
Yeah, next week. Okay, question number 5. This comes from Jacqueline Rosa. How can I...
Good grief. Sorry, guys.
How can I get my min pin to stop bolting out the door? I'm afraid he'll get hurt on our busy street.
Boat anchor. Bowling ball with a
big bowling
heavy
ball.
Chain to it. Just a bit impractical.
A constant, like a leash on him attached to a bowling ball. Cut it.
Okay, and on a serious side, let's see what we got here. So I wrote a couple notes for you. So for me, with this kind of stuff, I've heard other people talk about different ways of trying to approach this. Like leash and prong, or some kind of corrective thing where you set firm boundaries with dogs at thresholds. And while I think that there's probably some trainers and some dogs that could be successful with this, I think for the average owner and with a min pin, I think it's a pretty challenging endeavor. Just on a just a leash and prong or training call or something like that. I wouldn't approach it just because min pins are so darn tenacious and intense. I wouldn't approach it without an e-collar for safety reasons. So unless you're going to have the dog tethered or something like that, or on a long line to where he can't, get himself into trouble. But I would absolutely go to e-collar stuff, and then just train the dog a recall, and then practice. The dog's got to have a long line on while you practice this, so you can have the door open, and then practice it. Right now, here's the thing: is the door is kind of like a portal, and it means like I escape and get out, but once you get a dog e-collar trained and teach him recall and leave the door open and let him go out and then call him in and let him go out and call him in, it changes the whole dynamic of look, I got magic coming out of my fingers. It changes the whole dynamic and perception of what that threshold means, and that you can just break out and get away. For one, they learn they can't get away. For two, they learn that there's nothing big, because I'm out on the porch. I'm in a downstay. I'm outside of the porch. So I'm technically I'm free. I'm out here, but I'm not really. The long arm of the law is still attached to me. So whenever I have threshold issue dogs, bolters, what I like to do, recall, e-collar train them, and then take them outside, and then recall them back into the house, take them back inside, walk outside, recall them back into the house, and break that whole concept of I'm going to take off, I can get away, I can do my thing. You have to do it with a long line on, though, just for safety. But it's a little more involved, because obviously you have to buy an e-collar, you have to train the dog at least to recall. But if it's serious, if you're worried about your dog getting hit by a car or something, then the investment of $180 e-collar and a week of maybe training, watching our recall video, and then just sticking with that with your dog is a good insurance plan to make sure that your dog doesn't get himself into trouble. And then you can have him in a better space, and you could also correct him for other min pin shenanigans, of which I'm sure there are a handful. So that's the answer. Hope that helps.
Question number 6.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Live, Laugh, Love.
Is that her real name?
Not her real name, I'd imagine. But amazing, nonetheless.
Do we look foggy? Is this like...
Yeah.
Is this going to be okay? Do we look like...
It's going to be great.
Like a 1970s, like...
Yeah, that we do. Like a film.
Yeah, where they put the soft light to take 10 years off me.
All right. Live, Laugh, Love says, should Hercules.
Do you guys hear that?
I wouldn't get near him.
Do you want to stop the...
Herc.
some snoring issues. Okay, go ahead.
Live, laugh, love. Should you stop a barking dog, and how? Not for barking when he hears a knock and is alerting you, but barking at other people and dogs in passing. When we walk, he now barks at people and dogs. He never used to. He's 8 months old and he jumps around sometimes. How do we address this? We take him to stores to get him used to things, but sometimes he'll just bark and cry and whimper loud. Or if he meets someone for the first time in the home, he'll bark and bark unless they get down to his level and greet him. He's a shy, scaredy cat of lots of things.
Okay. So live, love, laugh, or live life.
Live, laugh,
love. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. I got your middle name wrong. Okay, so this is 8 months old, right?
Yeah.
I'd get this dog on a prong collar, ASAPers. She didn't say what kind of dog, right?
No.
So I would get your dog on a prong. Watch my prong collar videos on the website, and you can get the sizing and all that stuff and figure out exactly what you need. They're on the website www.thegooddog.net, and free do-it-yourself videos. Is that what it's called? Free do-it-yourself. So get your dog on a prong, and then watch the walk video, and train your dog the structured walk. It's not that hard. It's pretty straightforward. Once you have a prong collar on, then you've got a good way to communicate with your dog and correct and cultivate good stuff and get rid of bad stuff. So most likely your nervous, insecure, scaredy cat dog is just all stressed out on the walk and engaging in all sorts of silliness to try and find a way to cope with being on the walk and not having enough information from you guys. So the prong collar will cause your dog to feel connected. A lot of people think, oh, he's a scared dog, he's a nervous dog. Prong collar is going to make him worse. No, prong collar will make your dog feel connected to you, like an umbilical cord, so you can feed him information and help him feel more comfortable in the world rather than disconnected from you and then just trying to sort things out and assess things on his own, which is going to cause him to be more barky and more freaked out. So get the structured walk down, get the prong collar down, and then for any shenanigans, any barking, any whining, any lunging, any silliness like that, correct it. Say no, pop on the leash, get the dog back into heel, and off you go. That would be my approach to sort out that little...
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's little, but sort out that situation.
Little.
Yeah, it sounds like a little scoundrel.
Yeah, you definitely just want more structure, more telling him what to do, and correcting that stuff you don't like. Because a lot of dogs will just, after you correct it, they're like, oh, that's not okay? Okay.
If you don't say no in a way that your dog understands and gets, there's a good chance your dog doesn't know he's not supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Right? You might be saying no verbally, but if you're not saying no in a physical fashion that actually interrupts the state and helps your dog relax and calm down and break through that cycle, you might as well be, whistling Dixie.
Yeah.
So
picture with like a kid like saying it in a different language. Like they're nutty every time someone comes over and you start talking to them in a different language. They're like, anyway, Then you finally use their language and they're like, oh cool.
Yeah, it's not going to have any impact. So that's what I'd recommend for you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. No, just sometimes I'll look over at them.
Okay. All right.
Okay, question 7.
Yes.
Natasha
Rodovsky.
We did this last time, and she's like, she says...
She's from the Ukraine.
Yeah.
She's from Germany?
No. No. She says, hi, Sean and Laura. You guys are absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Ding! You're awesome, too. Thank you so much for answering my question a couple weeks ago. By the way, I'm not from Germany. I'm originally from the Ukraine, and I currently live in Orange County, California. Hey,
you guys
you're up there.
Sisters.
That's so weird. That's why I can pronounce your name so well. Radomski.
Laura Radomski.
Here's my question. I have a 2-year-old lab, Bruno, who's e-collar trained, and we walk him off-leash daily, usually late at night so there's no people to complain about it.
Yeah.
Bruno is a typical lab and very much nose-driven, so when we walk off-leash, he doesn't pay much attention to me and tends to follow his nose. He'll come immediately when I call him, but I'd like to teach him to watch me and stay within a certain radius. Without me recalling him all the time. Any suggestions on how to get there? Thank you so much.
Natasha. I'll spare you calling your name again. So the way we teach our clients to go out on, off-leash walks and stuff like that is to use recall command to dictate how small the bubble they want to have their dog in. You okay with that? Yeah. It's not like you're doing adrenaline over there. So I'm not sure. You're saying I don't want to recall him. I think you just like him to be a little more present, a little less kind of tuned out and overstimulated. So I would set up exactly what you want, your parameters. Have a visual, how big of a circle, you know, you want your dog to be able to maneuver in. And then when he moves out of that, then give him a recall, but simultaneously give him a little pop on the e-collar. Nothing crazy, but just enough to get his attention and have him prioritize a little bit more about what you're looking for, right? So if you just keep recalling him back and he's got a nice recall, he's just practicing a pattern behavior. Oh, there's that, you know, come, oh, turn around, come, oh, all right, turn around. But if you say come and you give him a little pop on the e-collar, you'll probably see him starting to pay more attention to you and start to think a little bit more about everything going on. And then also, if you create that bubble that you want him to be in, and he moves out of it, just give him a little tap on the e-collar. Create that boundary. Just show him where you want him to be. But it's going to take a little work to make that happen. Yeah. You can't just there's no magic trick for that except for making sure that your dog is somewhat present by holding him accountable to be present. Yeah. But part of this also is that, you know, when you got your dog off leash, we kind of want him to be off leash and be a dog and do his thing. So within reason, I mean, if he's just being a nutty guy, you might want to tune him in. But I don't have a lot of rules for my guys. When I release them, when they're free, they're allowed to pretty much do whatever they want. And then I just call them back whenever I want them to be closer to me. So we just we're at the park this morning and everybody's free to go. They can sniff, they can do whatever. And when I want them closer, I just call them. So we might have different expectations. You might want something a little bit more specific. You could, like Laura was mentioning, I think before we recorded this, you could teach your dog to have an e-collar heel and keep him really tight with you. But that's not a lot of fun. You know, you're already doing structured stuff. I'd say I'd probably want to have the contrast of the off-leash stuff being a little more, I saw the tail, a little more off, sorry, there's a dog right in our line of vision twice.
Every time I don't know what
catches,
it is.
I think catches our eye.
The little tail.
And it's right above the screen here. So I don't think I would go for the e-collar heel just because off-leash heel. Yeah. I just think that's time for dogs to have fun and be a dog and do their own thing.
But I mean, if you were if this is the only time you walk them and you want to have a little structure and you want to go back and forth, the reason why I said do a heel or I'll take Hercules to the park and I'll have him he can do whatever he wants and I'll call him to me and I'll say heel. And it's not like a heel, stay behind my leg. He can kind of stay in the general area. But then once I say break, he, runs off. And so my heel...
That's a loose heel.
Probably confusing him.
But she didn't get that told by me.
But I say it, and then he just kind of sticks near me. And if I do it enough, then he's sticking near me all the time. But I try to, the thing is that even when he's on break, he'll stick near me because he's kind of in that zone. That's kind of why I said you can do an e-collar heel, is because they kind of get in a different zone. They're like, oh, this isn't so much free time. It's kind of half and half.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is that you have a dog that's fully e-collar trained who walks off leash with you.
You're ahead of the game, big time.
Yeah, and is a lab-y, fun thing. So I don't know, I would look into the reason why you want him to come closer all the time without recalling him. If it is just if it's oh, I want more human connection with him, or I want more connection with him, it's probably not the time and place. More relationship building would be put him in a downstay and then call him at a distance and get him working for you. But if it's oh, he's following his nose into the street and it worries me or something, that would be okay, well, you definitely need to be calling him close or coming up with something different. So. Yeah,
so I think there's some good suggestions there for you to kind of figure out and mull over and see what you want to do. But I think we're both looking to make sure that you guys have some fun time and don't because it can be easy to put too much on the dog and on the training, and the dog's got to be like this or got to be like that. I definitely want to make sure that we have fun, easy, let your hair down time as well.
Yeah.
So I would shoot for that contrast, and as long as he's respectful. I mean, what you described is what 99% of the people in the world would die to have, which is a dog that recalls every time off leash and is, a good boy. Yeah. So you kind of got it made already, and so if you want to tweak it, it's up to you to tweak it a little bit just by what we suggested.
Thanks.
All
right, thanks, Natasha. Bye. Okay, question 8. This is from Candace K. Sean and Laura, you are the best.
What?
Our heads are going to get too big for this iPad screen.
Pop-Tarts.
I'm making really good progress with Cora the dog police. She's starting to buy into me, and I'm feeling much more control of her world. Thank you for all the great advice and personal growth help. My question today is pertaining to our other dog, Deji. He is an anxious, adrenaline junkie mess. I've made some great progress with him on impulse control, but he literally had none when I first met him. He's learning thresholds well, but he's the type of dog who loves to bolt through the door when I release him. My question is, what else can I do to help him buy into me on the walks? When we adopted him in November, he came with a prong collar, and I had to reintroduce the prong to him, but I've had difficulty because he halfway pays attention to me. So he follows me around and anticipates my movements without paying full. Sometimes I can't even get a good 180 because he anticipates it.
Is his name Veggie?
Deji.
Oh, Deji.
She started to sit with him at some picnic tables in town and just correct him for leaving a good state of mind without us in movement, which seems to help. But when we're walking again, I have to be extra careful to cap his behavior, because if I don't, he's really easy to amp up. Any tips or ways to help this guy tune into me instead of me tuning me out? Thanks again. You know I love you guys. Blessings.
Thanks, Candace. Send Pop-Tarts.
We should have a P.O. box, like P.O. box
Stock up.
Pop-Tart. Yeah.
Pop-Tart Depot.
Oh my god.
Okay, so okay, back to work, Candace. Sorry, I was just daydreaming.
You were dreaming about Pop-Tart.
I was just overflowing P.O. box. I was like, oh. Okay, so I even though you're on the prong collar, which is great, but when we have really anxious guys that are really struggling with being tuned in and being focused, it's almost always the best choice to go to an e-collar and do e-collar heel. I think if you take the time, I know it costs a few bucks, and it takes a little bit extra time and focus to do it, but I've got a really easy to follow e-collar heel video on the website, and I think if you follow that, I think you'd be pretty surprised what you'll get from Deji. Glad it's not veggie. I think you'll be really surprised what you get from this guy, just with the different tool. It creates it's a different way of communicating. The way it shares pressure is very different than the prong collar, and it tends to relax dogs much more than the prong. Even though the prong's awesome, but we're talking about different degrees of awesomeness, right? So the e-collar is definitely more expensive and takes some extra steps to learn. But you could have an e-collar heel in 2 days, right? If you watch the video, really got it together, you could get a pretty slamming thing going on in just a couple of days, and then you'd really be surprised, I think, what you got from Deji. And you can also correct for any silliness once he's conditioned to it, once he understands what the e-collar heel is, starts to calm down. He gets anxious, gets tuned out. You can, if he starts to move away, you don't have to do 180s, right? So here's the trick, is that the prong collar, there's some limits if the dog is not tuning in to like small corrections and things like that. With the e-collar, you don't have to do 180s. If he's just tuned out, you just say heel, tap the button, find a level he cares about, he'll slow down, get right in that spot. If he starts to like sniff the ground, got an airplane landing on our house. If he starts to sniff the ground or get silly, you can just check him in with a little no, just give him a pop on the e-collar. It's a pretty remarkable difference in what walks look like once you put even nutty dogs on e-collar. It's a pretty special change. So that would be my best recommendation for you to kind of sort that out, so you're not struggling anymore.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you kind of just have to keep pushing through with the prong. And like you said, he's already kind of beating you to the punch of like anticipating your 180s, and he's got the game kind of rigged with you, and yet he's still stressed and anxious. So I'd help him out by doing an e-collar heel and really helping him calm down and be focused.
And even more than just focusing on the walk, like focus more on interior than anything. Anytime we have an anxious, nervous dog, the last thing we want to do is take him outside and be like, come on, let's face the fire. We want to get him inside listening and respectful and a lot of duration with distractions, move to that stuff. But getting the dog inside the house is going to affect this a lot quicker because you have less distraction, and then taking that dog outside.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I'm just playing with the light beams here.
I love it. All right.
Thanks,
you.
Was that Candace? Thanks,
yes,
Candace.
Thank you. Guys, question 9.
Yeah.
We got it. This is from Rachel Bear.
Hey, Rachel Bear.
Hey, guys. I wonder if her middle name's Spoiler. Or Brown. or Smokey the? Rachel, get back to us on your middle name.
Strange middle name.
That would be so funny. Smokey the. Hey guys, or the.
She's
or if her middle name was just the. Rachel the Bear. I would love. That would be my perfect name for myself. All right. I'm sorry, Rachel. Tell us your middle name. It's probably something beautiful like Marie or something. All right. Hi, guys. I'm sure she's been made fun of, like, when she was little. Like,
you're probably touching on a sensitive thing here.
I love your last name.
Hope we don't get a lawsuit.
Okay.
It's going to you. My P.O. box gets the Pop-Tarts. Hers gets the send the papers.
Hi, guys. Thanks for all the information you've put out to help dogs and people have a better life.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Rachel. My question is,
the bear.
In a multiple dog socialization situation, what specifically are your rules for dog behavior? What can they do and what shouldn't they do? What should I do or not do? We have a new rescue who's uncomfortable around one of our dogs. If cornered, he will snarl, snap, and sometimes bite. I've been trying to teach him to back away when he's uncomfortable and trying to support him and not let the others get too close unless he looks comfortable. We've been working on the prong, lots of structure, thresholds, and place command. Thanks.
It's a weird sound.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rachel, the bear. Sorry. Our socialization rules. So no humping. No like major dominant like paws on the back or anything like that that's going to cause another dog to take off. Basically, we're trying to avoid stuff that's going to cause real friction among the dogs. So no humping, no paws on the back. Manny, he's chewing his feet off. Don't you do it, buddy. I'm watching you. No bullying other dogs is really important as well. So the art of socialization really is that. It's an art. So getting dogs together, especially if you've got nervous dogs, so you're going to have your happy-go-lucky dogs, the dogs that like all the engagement, all that's great. Then you've got dogs that are not sure about other dogs, and the goal is to use your balanced dogs to kind of help them to feel more safe and comfortable. Now, even balanced dogs can put too much pressure on nervous dogs, so your job is really to advocate for those nervous dogs. It's not just enough to try and like deal with them. That's not fair. What you're trying to do is you're trying to teach the dog to be confident by showing that his world isn't a place where he needs to be proactive or lash out at another dog, right? So if dogs are getting in his space, getting in his face, and even in a playful with good intent, it's liable to cause him to be more stressed out and not trusting. So I'd recommend a
both the dogs and you.
Yeah, exactly. I'd recommend a dressage whip. That's what we use for socialization stuff, and a lot of trainers are these days. And it's really cool because a dressage whip it helps to kind of just extend your arm. So you've got a lot of reach if you're working with dogs in kind of an open area. You can, if a dog is getting too close or hassling another dog, you can just kind of put it in and then just kind of, like guide the dog away and create a nice boundary, a nice barrier. But also for the other things I mentioned, like humping or bullying or, paws on the back or just too much adrenaline, too much high energy stuff. You see how that lights up? Look at that. Sorry, I'm a child. Too much of that, then you can just give a quick pop on the rear with the dressage whip and calm the dog down. Dressage whip will really slow that kind of stuff down pretty dramatically without much pressure. Just a quick little, and you'll see most dogs just kind of come right down. So also look for reciprocal play. That's a big thing, right? So people often ask, what kind of play is okay? And for us, basically, when I say reciprocal play, even if it's really rough, are the dogs both equally having a good time? Is one of them having a better time and one of them having a worried time? That's not reciprocal. If one is getting the better of the other dog and the other dog is concerned, that's not reciprocal. That's not cool. But even if they're really kind of fiery and having a kind of pretty heated time, but both dogs are really enjoying it, and one might get bowled over and the other and looks like, wow, he really got slammed, but then he jumps right back up and he's right back into it. That's reciprocal play. That's two dogs that are a good match for each other, and neither's worried about it. But when you see one dog that's higher energy, higher attitude, pushing harder and the other dog is concerned and trying to get away, or even something not as dramatic, just not sure about it, that can be problematic, and then you can build tension and have issues kind of break from there. So reciprocal play is a really important one to watch out for. But what I'd say is for nervous guys, just really go out there and teach them that you're going to keep a bubble around them and let other dogs just let that dog get really comfortable seeing you as an advocate, and you'll see a lot of confidence bloom. And then he might get to the point, if you do that right, where he's starting to feel safer around the other dogs, and he'll start to solicit interaction. He'll start to look for interaction. But as long as he's feeling pressured, as long as he's feeling unsafe or uncomfortable, he's always going to retreat or be defensive.
Yeah.
Once he feels protected and advocated for, then he has the opportunity to see the world and go, okay, these guys aren't so bad, and I'm not stressed out, so I've got access to my better choices, and then you might see some nicer stuff go on.
Yeah. And the more that you even if you just have them inside the house all doing place command in separate places, that's socialization that's structured.
Yeah.
Socialization, bringing dogs into new, dog packs, it doesn't mean that you have to put them in a yard and do that game.
Have at it.
Yeah, so having them in structure inside, if you had your other dogs in place and he was in place, he's going to feel a lot better about them because he's like, oh, they have some control,
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
that's a big thing, when we talk about, when we get dogs in that got dog stuff, like this guy who's, you can't see right here, Gunther. He's got problems with dog stuff, and right, he's got some doggy issues, a lot of reactivity and some resource guarding and some other weird stuff. But we don't go toss him out in the play yard and say, all right, Gunther, let's get your socialization skills together.
Yeah.
First thing we do is work on getting his mind right, getting him calm, getting him relaxed, getting him chilled out. He's in place right now, just hanging out with other dogs walking around. That's the best, easiest way for a dog to gain confidence in the other dogs, because there's no pressure on him.
Yeah.
Nobody's allowed to even go mess with him, go interact. So what he gets is a real easy introduction into my pack in our world, and he gets to see dogs that are respectful. He also gets to see that he's not allowed to be proactive and snotty and get into any trouble. So it kind of it assuages or addresses both those worlds that can get dogs into trouble. Dogs being problematic or the dog himself being proactive. And instead it just says, everybody just relax, be calm, just watch each other. And so that's about existence, and then existence can become comfort, and then can become interaction and fun and all that stuff. So that's where we start with this stuff. And then we'll bring them out. And typically once we've done this for a handful of days, you see socialization stuff that's far safer and far more comfortable with these kind of guys. So hopefully that covers it for you.
Cool. All right.
All right.
Oh, 10. This is from Instagram. This is
in the house.
Sarah Mona Clark. She says, hey, I have a question. Totally understand if you don't have time to answer. But what's your opinion on neutering non-working dogs? I have an intact male boxer who is a pet. He won't be bred. He's high energy and dominant with me, but a healthy, well-socialized, highly trainable, people-loving dog. He's my first dog. Everyone tells me getting him neutered will help calm him down, etc. And I can see he's anxious sometimes. I don't know if he's just bored, needs more mental stimulation, or if it's the sex drive. He doesn't hump. I don't know, the local expert trainers of Sacramento say to wait until he's at least 2 and that behavior issues can be solved by training only. Recently at the dog park, he was dominant towards another intact boxer, which caught me off guard. He's never been dominant towards a dog. He's always playful and submissive. He's definitely he definitely had a different attitude with those dogs that day.
Yeah.
I made an appointment to neuter him in 2 weeks. I just wanted to ask more experts in the meantime. Thank you.
Man, Sarah, this is a loaded question.
Yeah.
So the whole neutering issue is a really, really divisive topic, and you can get so many different opinions from trainers and dog owners and just people in the dog world in general. And so I'm going to go out on a limb and try and offer you my best suggestions, my best advice, and hopefully I won't get attacked. So a couple things. So there were some recommendations to wait until he's at least 2. He's probably a big guy. The best advice and the best research and what I've seen so far is that it is valuable and important for larger dogs to wait to be neutered or fixed, depending on their sex, until they're fully developed physically. And there's some more technical terms. I'm not that well read on it, but I don't know if it's growth plates or what it is. But I know that they can be, dogs neutered too early can be compromised, especially bigger dogs can be compromised down the line. Female dogs can have, beyond like musculoskeletal. How do you say that? Musculoskeletal.
Skeletal muscular.
No, you can't just turn it around. With beyond just having musculoskeletal, I can't say it right. Issues. A lot of female dogs will have incontinence issues and things like that. But I think they found that a lot of dogs that are larger. Breed dogs can be compromised if they're fixed too early. So if it was me, I'd probably wait a shade. I'd probably wait. I'd talk to my vet and find out when they think he'll be fully, all of his male hormones, of course, through his body, and his body has had enough time to sufficiently do what it needs to do to ensure that he's going to be structurally sound before you cut those hormones out. So that would probably be my suggestion. Most of the stuff you're going to see, like we see exactly what you're describing with, dominant boxers. What? Huh? We see that stuff all the time that are all fixed. So I doubt that it's a fixing issue. Doubt that it's getting him neutered. We'll sort this out. Because we see it just across the board. It's more likely an attitude, demeanor, and lack of training issue. I would absolutely train your dog to be on e-collar. I would train him to have at least a phenomenal recall. Make sure he's really well conditioned to that. And then once he's super well conditioned, you can start to interrupt him for any kind of shenanigans with other dogs. You can correct him for getting, postury and silly and give him a reminder. Of course, you have to well condition the dog so the dog doesn't maybe misperceive the other dog is doing the correcting. But absolutely, we do that with dogs all the time and let them know, hey, knock that crap off. So that would be my suggestion as far as like I would ask the vet when they think my dog will be completely hormonally have bathed his body in all the hormones necessary to make sure that he's structurally sound. And then I would go about, or not even don't have to wait till then, but I would also, in addition to that, start training straight away and get him fully e-collar trained to where you can start addressing what's most likely the problem, which is mindset, attitude, demeanor. So he's got this young guy. The other thing is that he's only a year and a half. In another year, you're likely to see, more problems coming down the line. If you're already seeing dominant stuff, you're already seeing pushy stuff, entitled, bratty stuff, you're very likely to see that accelerate, between now and like 3 years old. So I jump pretty quickly on getting him trained, e-collar trained by somebody who's really good with that stuff. Yeah. If you need recommendations, ask us, and we've got some people up there that we could refer you to. And then one last thing would be that while I don't think that being unneutered or being intact is going to cause a ton of behavior issues, it can cause dogs to be weird around each other though, right? So a lot of dogs know that other dogs are intact and will be a little funky with them, maybe more challenging. So you might see more friction just because he's not fixed. So that's something to consider as well. And maybe being in places where there's dogs that you're not so certain about, that you don't, really trust. We don't do dog parks. Then that might be a great way to get around that. Make sure he's just around dogs that are really stable. And then if he's misbehaving around them, then you kick his rear so he doesn't misbehave like that. 9 times out of 10, this stuff is behavioral. It's state of mind stuff. And I've only recommended neutering a dog once for behavioral stuff, and that was after we had exhausted everything else. So that tends to be more of an old school kind of concept. Not that there can't be something in there, but I think it's far more behavioral than it is testicular. I sound like Dr. Evil there. Testicular. Yeah. All right, guys.
Sorry, I'm sick and a little bit low key.
It's okay. You did good. I
Thanks.
didn't throw too many questions at you today, and I kind of took the hit for you. I had you on my back.
You so did. Carried you.
So, guys, this is episode 17. We're cooking. We're moving along. We're having a really good time doing this. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are doing it for you. And keep those good questions coming.
Keep them rolling.
Yeah, we've got question of the week.
Oh.
Question of the, you thought you were getting out of here without question of the week.
That's right.
Question of the week.
This
guys,
is a new thing. We're doing this every week.
I want to hear either in the Instagram comments when I post this up or in the Facebook. I want you guys. It sounds like what my grandma would say. Hey, are you on that? Are you on the Facebook? I would like to know what your guys' favorite pastry is. Right? I would. Pastries are important, and especially to my world. And I'd like to know what you guys think.
What's yours?
What's you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna wait. I'll put.
Oh,
it in
you're
the
gonna
comments.
tell it?
I'll join everybody in the comments.
Or you could, or that could
donut.
be. Well,
sorry, I couldn't hold it.
I was gonna say that could start out the next Q&A Saturday.
Yeah, I think I blew it.
You blew it.
Yeah, donut.
I don't know if I have a favorite pastry. It's weird. I was actually thinking about it like during one of the questions.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, I'm down with all of them.
Well, I wonder if your shortbread or shortcake qualifies as a pastry.
Oh my gosh, strawberry shortcake.
Strawberry shortcake from the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh man, there's no other dessert like that. I mean, strawberry shortcake in general is awesome. Like I could do strawberries and whipped cream for the rest of my life, but the strawberry shortcake at the Cheesecake Factory is a whole other thing. Try it.
Big shout out to the Cheesecake Factory.
Gosh, I love
I know it's not considered hip or cool, but
man, I love it. I went there on my birthday. I go there.
I had spaghetti and meatballs the other day, right?
Yeah.
Spaghetti and meatballs. There's a million Italian restaurants. It was maybe better than any Italian place I've been to around town. So
good. You just do every genre great.
The last T3 where you had those Dunkin' Donuts, and they were
cookie dough. Yeah,
I'd never heard of that. And me and cookie dough have a very, very tight relationship. So when a donut gets together with cookie dough, it's a spectacular.
It's an event.
And it was a really, really, really fabulous donut. So unfortunately, fortunately, there's no Dunkin' Donuts out here on the West Coast. So I'm safe at least until we go back to Rhode Island for T3. So guys,
we love you.
Q&A 17 is in the books. And any questions, suggestions? We're going to podcast soon, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So we'll get your mom's
gotta go. You gotta call in 2 seconds.
Yep.
All
so
right.
we're out of here, guys. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.